Hi everyone, this is Karen from the Historical Society of Montgomery County, Pennsylvania. In this video, we're going to talk about a historic site located in Horsham, Pennsylvania. Originally known as Fountain Low, today known as Graeme Park, this site was originally built in 1722. It was originally known as Fountain Low due to the naturally occurring springs located on the property. It was constructed for the Provincial Governor, Sir William Keith. The original site included a barn, a malt house, and a longhouse, which was used as a living quarters for workers at the site, which included enslaved persons. Using archival records such as tax lists, inventories, and newspaper ads, staff and volunteers at Graeme Park were able to learn a little bit about the enslaved persons at this site. Sir William Keith was known to have enslaved at least 14 people while he was living at this site. When the site was acquired by Dr. Thomas Graeme in 1739, Dr. Graeme continued to enslave the people at this site, and in the succeeding years, he would enslave further people at Graeme Park. When Dr. Graeme died in 1772, two enslaved men known by the names of Mars and Alexander were still at Graeme Park. In 1778, when a valuation list was created at the time the United States government seized the property from Dr. Graeme's daughter Elizabeth, Alexander was still listed as an enslaved person at the site. In later years, in 1785, tax lists still show at least one enslaved person was still at Graeme Park. Dr. Thomas Graeme of Philadelphia purchased Graeme Park in 1739 from Sir William Keith. Dr. Graeme lived on the site with his wife Anne Diggs Graeme and their daughter Elizabeth Graeme. Anne took it upon herself to teach her daughter Elizabeth how to read and write. In later years, Elizabeth would become a well-known American poet and writer as a result of this. Although originally born in Old City, Philadelphia, Elizabeth spent most of her youth at Graeme Park. Elizabeth met a Scottish immigrant by the name of Henry Hugh Fergusson at one of the many literary gatherings Elizabeth held at Graeme Park. After a short courtship, Elizabeth decided to marry Henry, but they had to do so in secret because he was penniless and Dr. Graeme did not approve of the courtship. When Dr. Graeme died in 1772, he never even knew that his daughter Elizabeth had gotten married. Since she was his only surviving child, she inherited Graeme Park. When the Revolutionary War started, Henry joined General Howe to become a British Army officer, and he left Graeme Park to do this. Throughout the entirety of the war, Elizabeth only saw Henry about 3 times. After the war, Henry fled to Scotland to avoid being tried for treason here in the United States. Elizabeth, meanwhile, stayed at Graeme Park. In 1778, the Confiscation Act allowed the U.S. government to seize property of people who were labeled as traitors during the Revolution. This included Elizabeth and her husband Henry, who owned Graeme Park at that time. Graeme Park was seized by the government, including a lot of the property on the estate, and much of the contents was sold at public auction. Elizabeth was able to regain the title of the property in 1781 with the help of some of her influential friends in the area. Ultimately, Elizabeth had to sell the property to her nephew, Dr. William Smith, in 1791 because she could no longer handle the financial burden of maintaining the property. Around 1801, after Elizabeth's death, the property was eventually sold to the Penrose family. And in 1920, the mansion was acquired by Welsh Strawbridge. Strawbridge owned this property until 1958, when it was given to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania for preservation purposes. Graeme Park still stands today, and it is operated by a nonprofit group known as the Friends of Graeme Park. If you like these videos, please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can be notified when a new video is released. The Historical Society of Montgomery County, Pennsylvania is a private, nonprofit library and museum located in Norristown, Pennsylvania. We rely on the support of our members, volunteers, community, and viewers like you. Your support allows us to continue making these videos so that history can be fun and accessible to the public. If you would like to donate to help us continue making these videos, you may do so by clicking in the link in the description section below, which will take you to our main website. Thank you so much for your support, and we look forward to seeing you in a future video.